Hello everybody and welcome back for more Let's Play Pokemon Crystal. In today's episode, it's time at long last that we are going to be doing some legendary hunting. And to start with, we're going to start with the worst of the worst. And can you guess what it is, folks? That's right, we're going to start with Roaming Legendaries, which is without a doubt the worst. And I mean the absolute worst idea and the stupidest idea that Game Freak could ever come up with. So anyway, so here's what we gotta do when it comes to Roaming Legendary. So if you probably recall, like when we were in the Burn Tower, that there were three of the legendary beasts. They were Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. Now Suicune's out of the picture though because we already caught Suicune because it was a lot relevant because I mean it is a mascot of Crystal. So then now there's only like two of the legendary beasts we have to go after because in the original Gold and Silver, it actually has to be all three of the legendary beasts to go after. But in Crystal, since Suicune is part relevant, and then we already that's required for us to actually encounter it, then you know from a story sense it makes sense. But in terms of gameplay, thank Christ. So that's only like one roaming legendary that's already cut short. So now it's just those two we have to deal with. So yes, like I was saying, fuck roaming legendaries. They're the absolute worst. And actually, Gen 2 is the absolute worst because of it. Because what we had to do is that you had to have lots of patience, lots of time, and lots of Pokeballs. Because the thing about it is, though, is that once, like after you get those legendary beasts roaming out in Johto, you won't be able to track them at all. Like the only way, like there's supposed to be a tracker they can have, like just go into the Pokédex and track them. But since we haven't encountered them yet, well, like it's not in our Pokédex yet. So what we have to do is that we actually have to encounter them first. So therefore, it's completely luck-based. So you're going to be spending so many goddamn hours searching for those motherfuckers. And this is really what puts a bad taste in my mouth for roaming legendaries. So yeah, be prepared to spend a lot of time as you search for them, so that way they can encounter them. Now, there is a strategy they can actually go for, though, and this is actually what I'm doing right now. What you want to do is that usually they can be roaming around, like, the most likely you'll encounter them is the routes between Golron City and Ecruteak City, so like routes 35, 36, and 37. So it's either one of those three routes. And so that way there, yeah, you'll most likely be encountering them. And then what you want to do is that you want to stock up on repels as much as you can, and then and you want to make sure they have a Pokemon with you that's lower than level 40 because that's where we're at right now. Look at that! There we go. Now we have our encounter with the roaming legendary or the legendary beast. This is Raikou. Now what I'm going to do though is that since I went ahead and just encountered Raikou first, and well for one of those, I'm going to go ahead and use my Master Ball on it because, you know, why not? Because, I mean, you know, what else am I going to use Master Ball for? So, I would recommend you also use the Master Ball for catching one of those roaming legendaries. That way they'll save you a lot of time. But there's also the other one, which is, of course, Entei, that we have to go after. So, yeah. So, make sure you have a lot of Pokeballs for that as well. So, Raikou, the Thunder Pokemon. This our Pokemon stores energy. I didn't get to read that. Sweeps across the land, shooting off electricity. So yeah, that was Raikou that we just caught. So and you know we got the Master Ball with it. So now we have to go after Entei. So yeah, what you want to do is that you know when you have the repels, use the repels and make sure you have a Pokemon that's lower than level 40 because that's the because those are the levels for the Pokemon. So in this case, I'm using my Lapras that I caught in Union Cave because this Lapras is level 20. So that way they can actually use the repels. Like make sure you use the repels there, and then you can just keep searching the grass until you get an encounter. Like you'll know that you encounter them if you hear an entirely different tune from the normal wild battle theme. Now here's the catch about the roaming legendaries. Another reason why they suck so hard is that oh yeah, and this is actually how you can catch or you can track down the roaming legendaries. You can actually see here. Now the thing about it is though is that whenever you enter a new route, they will actually move to an adjacent route. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, like there's a bit of a difference, right? Like between just walking through a different route and then flying. If you walk through a different route, then they'll just switch to another route that's adjacent to the other one. If you actually fly, then it just chooses another random route that can be farther from where you're at. Now, what I would recommend you do is that make sure you go through the routes that like at least 3 of those 2 routes because it's never a good idea to actually go between 2 different routes because if you keep doing that, then you're never going to be able to encounter those and encounter the Pokemon. So now here's the thing about it here is that like, going back to what I was saying about another reason why the roaming legendaries suck and I hate them so much, is because, whenever you encounter them, whenever you try to make a move, or at least before you do so, they will actually run from you. Yeah, they will just go and flee from the battle. So, and even when you put even when they're in status conditions, like, you know, more Pokemon Logic Area, when they're asleep or if they're frozen solid, they will still run away. I don't know how that doesn't make any sense. Like, they break the laws of nature there. So, what's best recommended for you to do is that you want to go ahead and use the Mean Look strategy. That's actually the biggest reason why I'm actually keeping Mean Look for Nightshade, because when you use Mean Look, it prevents escape, or it prevents the opponent from escaping. And then the next thing you want to do is that, and something I would highly recommend you do, is make sure that your Pokemon have a move that induces sleep. So, like for instance, the Nightshade has Hypnosis, and so that way there won't be able to use moves, because here's the biggest thing about the two legendary beasts, is that they have the move Roar, and that's what you really want to be careful for. Is that if they use Roar, then your Pokemon will actually be blown away in Terra, and the battle ends right then and there, and then they'll move to a different location. So yeah, that's like the biggest pain in the ass about these roaming legendaries. And also, and here's another thing. Here's another catch. Now, if I was playing the original Gold and Silver, then it would have been entirely optional. But then again, since it was a Let's Play, then I would have to catch them anyway. But here's a catch. In Crystal, if you want to get another legendary Pokemon that we're gonna be catching a little later on for this one dungeon, it's actually completely mandatory that you catch these all these roaming legendaries. I mean, you can't really defeat them. You can't really make them faint. No, you actually have to catch them, like, you know, and that kind of emphasis right there. And like, it's actually full on required to actually catch them, so that way you can gain access to that one other legendary. Now, in terms of story, then yeah, it makes sense, because and you know, the Pokemon I was referring to is Ho-Oh, which of course they've already mentioned. You know, because later on we're going to be as part of our legendary hunting, then there's going to be the video where we go and find Ho-Oh. So if you want to get to Ho-Oh, you actually had to catch them. Now, in terms of story, it makes sense, because since the legendary beasts are actually linked with Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh was the reason why that the legendary beasts were revived to turn out the way they are, like in terms of the according to the lore. So, you know, it actually makes sense because of their connection to Ho-Oh, but in terms of gameplay, it is the worst and stupidest fucking idea that Game Freak could have ever come up with, and I don't care what any of you guys think. If you guys think it's a good idea, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, well, I'm not being that kind of asshole right there, but, you know, in terms of a design standpoint, then, yeah, I just go by that kind of opinion right there, so... Oh, man. But yeah, overall, fuck roaming legendaries. They can kiss my ass, and they still go on with the roaming legendaries later gens. Now, thankfully though, they actually do mitigate these issues where it becomes a lot easier to track, unlike with Gen 2. And as a matter of fact, even after, like, let's say for instance in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, after you encounter the roaming legendaries, or the 3 legendary beasts in the Burnt Tower, then they will automatically be on your on the Pokegear map. So once you go open the Pokegear map, even though you haven't encountered them yet, you'll see their icons over on the map to see where they are. And look at it, there we go. Now we've caught Entei. So that's that out of the way, thank God. Entei, the volcano Pokemon. This brawny Pokemon courses around the Earth, spouting flames hotter than a volcano's magma. So yeah, that's good to know there. So yeah, they actually mitigate the issue where, like, you can actually be able to track them on the Pokegear map, so that way there it's easier to track. But overall, fuck roaming legendaries. I hate them so much. I hate them. The worst, stupidest idea ever. Also in Heart Gold and Silver, they still have the Suicune subplot in Crystal, so that way you still have Raikou and Entei to roam around Johto. So I mean, at least that carries over. But you won't encounter Suicune until like way later in Kanto. So. Anyway, so that's Raikou and Entei out of the way, so next time we're going to be heading over to the Whirl Islands for our next legendary, so I will see you guys next time.